beautiful out. Love it. Give me a second here to. My doctor said to get rid of the visor and cover up your bald head. So, don't want any issues. All right. What do you want to talk about? Spring practice, fall practice, preseason practice? How's that? Preseason practice. Let's see. Today was number 5 for us. As you know, we went 3, had a recovery day. This will be our back-to-back day, our 4th and 5th day. Today was situationally second down, second and short, second and long. And tomorrow we'll go into full pads, and will be our first down and distance where we include third down. So we'll move the chains, get into all situations relative to first, second, and third down, and a little bit of red zone. So it's been a natural progression through the first 6. We went 3 on, had a day off. We'll go 3 again and have a day of recovery. Again, as I mentioned to you, I think, we want to be very careful as we acclimatize our football team. We were out for about an hour and 5 minutes today, and got a lot of competitive work in during that an hour and 5. So I think our team is getting to that point where tomorrow we'll be out for about an hour and 15. We'll get to an hour and 30, and then next week, pretty close to where we can get virtually an entire practice outdoors at the level, competitive level that I'm looking for. I could keep them outside for 2 hours right now, but it would be diminished returns. So I like the steps that we're taking. I like the way we're going about it. Injury-free, knock on wood. The guys are doing a great job recovering. We're using our recovery center, and it's really been effective for us in helping get the guys to come back the next day stronger. So it's been, I'm pleased, from that standpoint. Now it's about executing, installation, the technical and tactical pieces to a level where our guys know what to do, and how to do it when they're supposed to do it. That's really, the whole deal right now. So with that, let's fire away.
Here you go, Coach. Brian, can you talk about special teams? Third year in a row, new special teams coach. Can you talk about the specialists? How's that coming together right now?
Well, it's not really a new special teams coach. We're co-coaching it. Coach Diaco is part of it. Coach Erb is part of it. Those two were with us. Coach Nagel is part of it. So with the new NCAA rule relative to where everybody is able to give technical and tactical advice, it allows for us to have some continuity, quite frankly. So, I made that decision that we would give Slade, a big piece of that. I'm able to pull back a lot of that now that we have other coaches that can give technical and tactical advice. So you'll see a lot of Coach Diaco, you see a lot of Coach Erb, you'll see Coach Nagel, you'll see Coach Hankton, Coach Wilson, Coach Davis. Virtually 7 coaches will have their hand in what we're doing in special teams. So I like the continuity in that sense because we're doing much of the same in terms of the technical work. There are areas that we have to be better at. We were really good in punt coverage. We were really good with field goal, extra point, field goal, protecting. We have to be much better in the kickoff coverage game and the kickoff return game. That's got to be really big for us. And we've got to be able to see improvement there. I think we're 75th in the country. That's an area that we've got to see significant improvement.
Coach, it looks like y'all are using a lot of different receivers with the first group. Who makes the determination about that rotation, and what are you trying to accomplish by getting so many guys reps with the one, seemingly?
Yeah, I mean, we always have a conversation. It would be Cortez, myself, and Joe Sloan. We'll make the final decision. But, Kyron Lacey's going to be there. Chris is going to be there. CJ's going to be there. Those three guys, you can count on them, being integral parts. But, look, there's, like you said, there's so many other players that will play roles in some fashion. And I think what we feel like is that if you've got, three guys that you feel really confident in, let's get all those guys, work with that first group and get some continuity with the quarterback. So, if Nuss is out there and, Aaron's out there, or, we have a rotation that has, 2 or 3 tight ends. He feels comfortable with all those receivers, so it's not just the second group that's getting that work. So we felt like it was important to get all those guys work with the first group, because I want Nuss to see all those guys, because he's probably going to throw to all of them at some time. But I think I gave you 3 guys that have been really consistent in camp right now.
Hey, Coach, can you tell us what traits to you pop out about JVR Suggs, and what about those traits are going to keep it hard for you guys to keep him off the field?
Experience. He's played a lot of football. He's got first step quickness inside, gets off the ball, and he's got pass rush ability. There's not a lot of defensive tackles that have natural pass rush ability. So he's demonstrated natural pass rush ability. He's got first step quickness, and he's got a lot of experience. We were looking for a guy that was experienced, that could give us, some minutes inside, and he's proven to be that kind of guy for us.
Hey, Coach. Jason Willis with the Reveille. Just wanted to ask, watching the defense in the spring, it seemed like from a coaching perspective, the instruction was very basic, stuff like alignment. Obviously, you're still implementing this new system. How have you kind of seen that ramp up and progress, and how do you expect it to continue to ramp up?
Well, I mean, you got to play a game in 3 weeks. In the spring, you had, really it is so much more about, technical work. You have to be able to blend your technical with the tactical as you prepare yourself for, an opening game, and it accounts. So, you're installing your defense with an eye towards both the technical and the tactical, and the tactical being, you've got to keep the points down and win games. So I think that's what you're probably seeing more so than from the spring to preseason camp, is that you've got to be able to execute as well. This is not just about playing great technique. This is about executing the techniques that we give you so we can play winning football.
Coach, with Xavier Thomas, he hasn't been as active the last couple of days. Is there any sort of update on him?
Yeah, he's had a slight hamstring, and we feel like, he's a guy that's going to be an important player for us. We don't want anything lingering, so we've just been very careful with him.
And Mac Marco, I don't think I saw him today, and he wasn't very
Yeah,
active yesterday.
he's made a decision that he's not going to play, and he's, I don't know what his plans are, whether he's going to transfer, but he informed us last night that he was not going to play at LSU anymore.
And with that tight end room in general, does that open up potentially more opportunities for a guy like Trez Green? And if that's the case, then what kind of progress have you seen from him specifically then?
We're pleased with him. Both of them have made really good progress. I think KP Pimpton has been really good as well the last I'd say last 2 practices in particular, his consistency in run blocking, his consistency in catching the football, assignments have been really good. And then I thought, by and large, Tradez has assimilated as a true freshman as well as we could have expected. Again, considering somebody that hasn't played a lot of football either, really pleased. They're both going to play for us, and they're both going to have a role, and one where, I think it'll depend on how they continue to grow, but, I can imagine this one being such that, you could potentially see, all those guys, including Mason, on the field together.
Brian, down here, what do you like about the way that Blake Baker schemes up pressure? It seems like it comes from a lot of different places and that he uses different blitz packages, even though it's been early in camp.
Yeah.
What do you think so far about it?
Yeah, well, we've been down this road before, right? I mean, it's great on paper if you have all of these great schemes and all these pressures, but if your players can't execute them, not so great. Our guys have been able to execute and play really fast in the system that Blake is employing. So it's the teachability of it, and it allows our players to continue to play fast without having to play with this paralysis by analysis, I guess is the best way I would put it. So pressures that can come from a lot of different looks, but play fast is really the essence of what has made Blake's pressures so difficult, because guys can play really, really fast and not make critical errors.
Coach over here, you talked earlier last week about the consistency with the young DBs. In the last team period, you had P.J. Woodland and Ashton Stamps making plays on 2 really good thrown balls by Nuss. Have you seen the consistency, even though it's early in camp, because they have started to make some really good plays on the outside?
We've put together some good periods of time. There's no doubt that progress is being made, but not to the point where it's championship level play. And I think it's going to be a journey for those guys in particular that we'll look for them to continue to put like practices together instead of like a good period and then a not so good period. And the great part about it is both of them clearly know what they need to do, and they're working really hard at it. So, and they're not the only 2. There's a number of guys that are in that category of trying to do what is expected of them and execute when they need to execute, when it's called upon. Some of them are, below the line right now, but I can see this uptick of performance like you can from a lot of those guys. And I would just say that after 5 practices, there's really good signs, but we got a ways to go.
We're going to speak with Joe Sloan tomorrow. What have you seen from him since December as far as his taking command of that room, that role, and what do you want to see from him on game days?
Well, I mean, look, the first thing about being an offensive coordinator is making sure that your staff is weighing in on the things that are most important with their groups. And I think he's done a great job of bringing consensus into the room and getting great feedback from, Brad Davis and Cortez and Frank Wilson and Nagel. I mean, all these guys are, Nagel's the offensive coordinator, Frank's head coach, Brad's been an interim head coach, but established offensive line coach. I mean, so you have a lot of veteran, coaches that he's brought into the fold. It's not walk in the room and it's my way. And But he's been a leader too. Like, this is the way Coach has asked me to put together our offensive structure, and here's how we're going to go about it. But bring everybody with him. I think he's done a really good job with that. Organizationally, it's been really good in terms of our practices and how they've been put together, to my mind's eye. And then what I'm looking for on game day is certainly let us be who we are, right? I mean, play to our strengths. I think that's really important. This is not about, statistically, what do we look like? This is about how do you win games and complementing our defense. And, if our defense needs to get off the field, how do we get them off the field, And I think a great offensive coordinator has an understanding that it's not about how many points I score, it's about how do we win the game. And I think Joe is in that mindset of understanding that the offensive coordinator is still about how do we help this team win games, and I'm excited about watching that.
Hey, Coach. I think during the offseason you said that the defensive linemen can see that, hey, we're going out and trying to get guys in the portal or getting guys in the portal. They're hearing the talk. They're motivated by that stuff. Jacoby and Guillory said as much yesterday. He told his teammates, hey, they're looking to replace us. Do you see those guys that were on the team last year motivated, getting better to prove that they are better than some people think?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's that natural sense that, everybody's motivated by this sense of, we're not good enough, right? And there's a pride factor that I know our defensive line carries that, Jacobian probably articulated yesterday. But I can tell you this, we knew that, a guy like Jacobian, a guy like, Schoen and Chemo and those guys that were with us in the spring, we're going to have to be guys that gave us an opportunity to have success as well. So even though we did, grab a couple of guys in the portal, and that's it, we grabbed 2 guys out of the portal, I think they knew that, they were still going to have to perform at a high level, and it was still going to come back to them and how well they played. And that's really been the case. Jacoby has had a great camp. Schoen has really improved. Chemo is really helping us quite a bit. We're getting young players involved, and Don McKinley, he's playing for us and giving us quality reps. And then you look at Gio and Suggs, they were brought in to give us reps as well. So I think it's been more of a understanding that we've got to be able to hold up our end, and we need a little bit of help too. And I think that's why this group is doing so well right now.
Yeah, Brian, Will Campbell's been so consistent since day one here. What has he improved the most since he's been here, and what does he have left to improve in his game?
I think the one piece that stands out is leadership. And when I say leadership, right, leadership is such a general term, right? I mean, I think Will was not a man for many words, and he still isn't, right? You guys have interviewed him before. But when he speaks, he really resonates with our team. And I think he's done that more and more and made his opinions known to our football team. And I think that growth has been really good for him, and it's been really good for us. Because when you have a guy like that is so respected by his teammates, when he speaks, people really listen. I think as a player, I think just the fact that his craft is such that we're asking him to do some things this year that he hasn't done before. We're pulling him, moving him. We're much more of an inside-outside zone team. We're pulling him a lot more. We're moving him. And I think that's going to just heighten who he is as a football player and give him a chance to really, I think, excel at the national level and in the eyes of NFL scouts. So it's going to be exciting to watch.
Coach, a couple guys on the defensive line we haven't talked about, Braden Swinson and Jalen Lee. When can you expect to see them back on the field for practice?
Well, they've been working out. They're finishing up summer classes. They have to finish their Spanish. Yeah, I know. Go figure. Swinson and Lee both are in their Spanish 4 class, and it's the summer C session, which ends on Monday. And they're on track to graduate. So that class ends on Monday. So we have been working them out in the afternoons. They come back and they work out technically so that they can stay on track with their acclimatization. So they've gotten four of their practices in, because once they're done, we don't want them to have to then go through 6 days of acclimatization. So we've brought them back after their class, and they have worked out with one of our assistant coaches and a strength coach and a trainer in the afternoon. Good? All right, thank you. Is that Spanish?